Hey all you cats and chicks out there, welcome back to Control Players Unite. I am your host, Dr. Red. Today we are presenting on subjectivity in the Pokémon TCG. First, we will define subjectivity. Then, I will offer 5 examples of things that subjectivity pertains to in the Pokémon TCG. Then we will conclude with some questions for your own self-reflection. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, as with many things in life, there is a lot of personal depth to Pokemon for its consumers. This presentation cannot possibly lay out every single instance of subjectivity in the Pokemon TCG, nor does it attempt. It is a conversation starter in conjunction with the video previously done on objectivity in the Pokemon TCG. Please leave your comments as I like to hear what you think. So, what is subjectivity? Subject does not pertain to a school topic. Rather, it is the philosophical word for the self. So subjectivity is the first-person perspective, or your unique understanding of the world, how you see things the way you see them. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, that subjectivity is not relativism. There are several variations of relativism out there, the most important one stating that there is no truth. It's a logical contradiction. If that statement was true, then there would be truth, thus negating itself. And if the statement is not true, then it is true that the statement is in fact false. Don't overthink it, just know that we're not dealing with relativism in this presentation, we're dealing with personal preferences. These are not the same thing. Thank you, Dr. Red, but what does it all have to do with Pokemon cards? I'm glad you asked. Let's review objectivity. Objectivity in the Pokemon TCG refers to one of 3 things. First, the gameplay, which includes mechanics and the tactics thereof. Second, statistics, the probability of drawing certain cards, etc., and numbers in general. Last, material, the cards themselves and the tabletop you play on. We will be focusing on gameplay and stats, not so much material. Also concerning objectivity, there is a common saying in numbers don't lie. Though we all know there are ways to manipulate them, those are on the people that do that, not the data itself. Regardless, subjectivity says that numbers don't tell the whole story. There's something else going on inside the TCGer when making decisions other than concerning numbers outright. For example, the first thing is choosing a deck. Jimmy Wuyts, or Wuyts, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Jimmy, so I'm just going to call you Jimmy. He is a Belgian player who placed 179th out of 1,100 plus competitors at the Utrecht special event. What was his deck? Steelix Dodrio. Steelix has Earthquake, which does 130 base damage for 1 metal energy. This attack also does 30 damage to each of your benched Pokemon. Dodrio has Ballistic Break for 1 colorless energy. It does 10 base damage plus 30 more damage for each damage counter on it. So if Steelix attacks 3 times, Dodrio would have 9 damage counters, or 90 damage on it. So that's times 3, which is 270, plus 10 is 280. So it is capable of dealing big damage, including 1-hit KO potential. Now Jimmy went 4-1-4 on the day, which is not a bad record at all considering the placement of the deck in the meta. Now, I don't know what's going on in Jimmy's mind when he chose Steelix or Dodrio. Whatever he was thinking, it certainly disagreed with the Poke experts on what he should have played, according to any number of metrics, like data from previous tournaments. Regardless, Jimmy is or can be an example of a player who chooses a deck because he simply likes the Pokemon. He might really like Steelix or Dodrio and wants to play with them for that reason. It could also be that the deck feels right, like a warm, comfortable bed. It's possible Jimmy gelled with the deck in a way he did not with others. Last, maybe he just wanted to challenge himself. He was sick of the meta and decided it was time to change things up. It's also possible, ladies and gentlemen, that these reasons could coincide with data, except that the player's rationale or motivation for choosing a deck is at root different still, these being some of those reasons. Next is preferences for strategies. Do you like aggro decks? What about control? How about mill? Do you like lots of energy acceleration, or do you want to attach for turn? Do you want to mill 2 or 4 cards at a time? 4 discards more, but it's often more difficult to set up. Do you like big basics? What about retreat lock? Do you like to include lots of disruption cards in your decks? Whatever you like, it's all part of your subjectivity. Next is attitude, or your orientation towards the game. There are 2 main categories, casual and competitive. Casual players typically play for leisure, whereas competitive players want to win. They often enter regionals and vie for championship points. It's more complicated than that, but you get the gist of it. Next is format status. The format is the environment or the amount and kinds of cards and strategies available at a given time in standard play. The two main categories are healthy and unhealthy. Healthy is characterized by lots of options. There are many archetypes with unique features available for selection. Balance, by which we mean a variety of strategies, not the same thing ad nauseum, so how you use archetypes. And also styles of play. Aggro, control, and mill are equally present. And unhealthy is just the opposite. Last, we have the player's enjoyment of the game, which we think of as the orientation you have towards yourself, though there is overlap with number 3 in attitude. The example we have here is of Pablo Mesa, aka Tablemon, who said in one of his live streams, "For me, winning is fun, even if it means playing a toxic deck." Now that's a paraphrase, not a direct quote, but the essence of what he said is there. Mesa enjoys the game most when he is winning. How do you enjoy the game? So now here are some questions for you to ask yourself. As we just stated, how do you enjoy PTCG? Consider your style of play and your willingness to play a toxic deck, etc. Are you a casual or competitive player? Are you willing to go to almost any length to win? And how seriously do you take the numbers game of PTCG? Do you look at data or just go with the flow? Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. What did I miss? Where am I wrong? Please leave a comment. Take care of yourselves, and may God hold you in the palm of his hand.